All right, so V103 International, Oh Say the Dark Secret, of course. You know what this is. It's a new venture that we really embarked upon to really raise the bar, set the bar, straight from Atlanta, Georgia. And I got my brother Akon here. Akon.
What's up, Benny?
How you feel, bro?
I'm good, Os.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You here. You know, I really want to start this by kind of talking about and taking things back. Of course, you moved to Atlanta a long time ago, and we talk about Atlanta really being the Wakanda,
right,
of this whole. I would say the country on an international level as well. What has Atlanta been for you in terms of your transition to a city like this, and why did you come here?
I would say Atlanta for me was really an awakening, man. Because I was in New Jersey before I came to Atlanta. I caught a culture shock when I came in for Freaknik in '95.
Absolutely, as many people did.
What? Right, and I was like, whoa. I mean, honestly, I think it was Freaknik that made me stay in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I never even went back to my apartment in Jersey. I haven't left Atlanta since.
Right.
Ended up buying a house here.
Yeah.
But also the music was super vibrant. I mean, that was around the time when, the Face was like really opening the doors and giving people here opportunities to move around. And my partner, Divine Stevens, was actually working for the Face at the time, doing all the choreography for all the acts there, developing them. Even he himself was an artist on the Face, you know what I'm saying? Right. So actually he was the first artist the Face signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a story.
Right, so it was like, you can say pretty much I was there from the beginning in
Absolutely.
that case, if I count that. But it was just an interesting moment because when I came, the music scene was so vibrant, everybody was so hungry. And then it was like a place of just electrifying, like just creativity. You know what I mean?
When you look back at Atlanta at that time, because obviously it was very different and it's morphed into so many different things.
Right.
But when you talk about '95, what was the energy like in the city at that time?
Ah, man, around that time it was just Southern. It was like you didn't know what Southern was till you came to Atlanta. Atlanta kind of was the definition of what Southern felt like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm talking about our generation Southern.
Sure. Yeah.
Before then the Southern generation was more yes sir, no sir.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm
It
saying?
got
Our
crazy.
generation was like it was like disruptive Southern.
Yeah.
Like we owned it.
Mm-hmm.
We accepted it, we owned it, and we said this is all we got, let's make something of it.
Yeah.
And that was the energy that I got from Atlanta. It was that drive and that hunger that got me attracted to this place.
The thing that makes it so, to me, intriguing is that obviously it was kind of in its infancy, so to speak,
Right.
in terms of the music and hip hop and where things were really going. And we watched it kind of grow into a really global city.
1000%.
How did music influence, you at that time? And what type of doors did it open for you as you were kind of just getting started?
Well, at that time, music was more of a hobby for me, because I was just in a different space. I was more in a hustle mentality, come from Jersey, stealing cars, and came here, saw it was a wide open market. It was free, open,
Yeah.
Everybody getting new money from record deals. I'm like, yo, this is the business over here.
Yeah.
This
So
is
you
the
weren't
business.
taking it as seriously?
I didn't take it serious at all,
Okay.
but because of the fact that I was in that business, which wasn't quite legal, I didn't speak to too many people about my issues and problems. So I kind of kept a lot of things to myself. But when I needed to vent and get things out, it just became an experience I just wrote about. So, I had a couple, recording studios throughout the city that I utilized to kind of, in so many words, justify the income that I was making. And after hours or so, when I'm going through something, I just write about it,
What made you take it seriously? What was the shift? Or do you remember when the shift occurred for you?
Oh yeah, the shift was the last time I actually got locked up. That was the turning point of everything.
Okay.
Because that was the moment where I was facing years that I thought I would never see daylight ever again. And that scared me more than anything. You know what I mean? So it was one of them things where it was probably the blessing.
Yeah.
Because had not seen what that, was or what that could have been for me.
Sure.
Oh man, the decisions I'd have been making in life would have been horrible, man.
One of the things that I think is always very interesting is the fact that a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be a first generation African growing up in America.
Right.
And for you, I think that, specifically you've touched a lot of different things. Like people don't know you were involved in the Boogie Basement and Fugees, even before coming to Atlanta and things of that nature, where you really were contributing on that level. So when you look at what the international movement has grown into and what it means now, like a lot of people are very proud to be African, proud to claim that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
What's that like for you when you look at it today?
Oh man, today is more of, I'm just proud today because I remember at the time when I was, in Jersey, working with the Fugees in the Booger Basement, they were Haitian. I'm African. Then I hung around with nothing but Puerto Ricans. So it was like literally a refugee camp.
Yeah, truly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the name refugee camp meant just that. Like everybody there was refugees, but not in a refugee of a sense of citizenship, but more from a sense of mind state because we felt different. We felt foreign. We felt out of place. We felt like we wasn't at home because we always had to, kind of outdo ourselves even to get noticed or even for, anything to actually feel like there's a hope. People have to notice that, okay, these guys are different from everyone else. They work a little harder. They're a lot more talented. They're driven a little more. It's like you have to make a stand to where you actually was to the point where people recognize what you were trying to do to even pay you any attention.
Do you feel like, particularly at that time, because I feel like, Clef and the refugees definitely made being foreign cool and represent who you were. And then you coming along, really, you were like the flag bearer for the entire continent.
Right.
When you really jumped off. Do you feel like now with Afrobeat kicking in this whole new wave, it really almost being hip hop in '88?
Right.
Well, what do you think about the music and its influence on everybody in 2020?
No, I think the music where it's at today is, well deserved in so many different ways because I remember when back in 2008, you was saying you was pushing Afrobeat then.
Yeah. It was early.
Right, it was super early. You the one that introduced me to Wizkid. You know what I mean? Like Con, I'm telling you, you need to sign this. Yeah. So if it wasn't for you, honestly, even my passion for Afrobeat wouldn't have been as strong as it is today. Yeah. And I'm being a 1,000% honest because it was signing Wizkid and going to Nigeria and seeing what that scene and what birthed that in the first place. I was like, whoa, how did I miss this?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny when you speak on it like that and knowing you have roots in so many places, including St. Louis, where I lived in St. Louis for 4 years, and it's not the most cultural place. We're talking about the middle of America.
Yeah.
Right.
But believe it or not, from a blues standpoint,
it's there. The music is there.
Right, the music side is there.
Well, I say this too, Carl. I think the Mississippi River is a very powerful source, just like the Nile River in Africa. That's
equivalent.
Exactly. 1,000. And so you talk about how many Africans touched that river, and just even talking about the drum and your father being a percussionist. I felt like the drum has been powerful historically.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? And so I feel like we're just now understanding how to really fully use that and bridge the cultures. Because I feel like it's the bridging of Africans and African Americans.
Right. The drum has always been the first language.
Yeah.
And it's always been the language that actually people, no matter what culture, you understand it.
Absolutely.
Because it's not speaking a physical language, but it's speaking a physical feeling that you cannot ignore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Vibration.
Right. And this is the reason why hip hop is the most dominant genre in the world because it's drum driven. It starts with that snare, that 808, that hard bottom. And you can put congas, djembes, tamas, anything next to that, and it'll still flow as if it was all meant to be one.
Absolutely.
So then you cross over into the Latin market. It's, again, the drums. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only genre that I realized that wasn't genre driven by drums was rock and roll. That was more driven by guitar. You know what I mean? But you can see the difference in the evolution of that music that's driven by the drums on a global scale and how many billions of people that it actually is touching.
It's funny, but in rock, but the drummer gets a lot of love in rock music.
1,000%. Because he
takes off.
Because the drum, as many guitars as playing, the drum seems to always hold its own.
Yeah.
You can still hear it on top because them cymbals gonna scream loud, right? And so for sure.
It's funny, when we talk about just the diaspora, because for me, I think that it's all about pushing the diaspora.
Right.
So many of us have gone globally to different parts of the world, and I feel like now the music is really starting to connect us and bring us back together, even when it comes to Latin music.
Right.
And I think that the fact that you've kind of been on that scene for such a long time, and almost like a translator of sorts, because that whole, I would say, slavery and that experience, there's more Nigerians or Africans in Brazil than any other country outside of, Africa in terms of through that.
No, absolutely. You look at Brazil, you look at the Dominican Republic, you look at Cuba, you look at all these places that's just so African driven. It's all because of the descendants of the slave in that area that actually dropped the culture off and then was shipped to another place to continue dropping. New Orleans, for instance, them New Orleans is African, bro.
They're African.
I don't care what nobody tell me. Just look at them.
Yeah.
The way they talk, the way they move, their mind state. When you go into the Carolinas, you go into the South. It's so vivid because the Geechee, right? So it's so vivid of that, influence and the impact that has actually been spread throughout the world. Even now that we're doing these trips from America to Africa, African Americans are actually feeling and now they're feeling the one piece and place that they felt was missing forever.
Yeah.
Like forever. So when you talk about the diaspora, it's the most important piece to getting us back in, together, actually. That unity piece is the one piece I always felt was our weakest link within Black people, period, because we've been so divided and so spread out through the world. We never got a chance to really come together and maximize our talents, our skills, our finances, our resources, and just really do something together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You were in Ghana for the year of return, so you saw a lot. What was that experience like, watching so many people who'd never been to Africa come and just get this first experience?
Listen, when I tell you that probably had to have been one of the most enlightened experiences and the most amazing, great feeling type experience I've ever witnessed, because and I got to give a big shout out to Boris Cujo, his wife, his brother, as African American, and the Cujos, they got they parents is German.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they're part of that diaspora, and they understood the power of bringing African Americans also there, so they fought just as hard, right? So, and then you from Ghana.
Yeah.
You preach before all of that, right? So I feel like we all played our role and our part as to bringing African Americans, just because it starts with them.
Yeah.
Why? Because their influence in the world is, I don't even think they understand how much impact.
I don't think they understand either.
They don't.
No, but Black America really, it took everything, all the hardship and everything negative,
and turned it into something worth being proud of. You know what I'm saying? And I think they need to pat themselves in the back and applaud themselves in so many ways, because this is where Africans were degraded, tortured. Not only that, but more grinded the most. Yeah. Like they was punished here the most than anywhere in the world, and it's still going on till this day. Though, so to overcome that and utilize whatever that energy was to become not only the best athletes in the world, the best entertainers in the world, the best inventors in the world, the best businessmen and doctrines, and I mean physicians and freedom fights leaders. Like, history was built in America through hardship. You follow what I'm saying? So for them to overcome all that and still be looked at as something that you would want to be, that shows just the power of what that inner, strength can be when you just decide to just fight. So I always felt like the moment we came together and decided that, okay, as a people, we have to fix it. We can't depend on anyone else, because everyone else got their act together. Yeah. When you look at China, bro, they're everywhere in the world. Doing it together, though. Yeah. There's not a place you're going to go in the world and you don't see a Chinatown. Where they're congregated, helping each other, rocking with each other, investing in each other's businesses. Look at the Jewish. Prime example. They're the most least population, in the whole population, they got the least amount of people in the world. But guess what? They control the world.
The unity.
Yeah. Why? Because they unite. Yeah. They invest with each other. They buy out each other's companies, sell it back to each other. They do everything within the Jewish community. And even if they bring us in, they bring us in just enough to where they still control it as a whole, as a group.
I've always felt like we could learn a lot from the Jewish community. Just
their Holocaust. We could, because you gotta understand, even what they went through. Yeah. There's and this, I think this is why Jewish people and Black people get along so well in the entertainment business and in other businesses as well, because we kind of went through the same struggles to an extent.
Sure.
I won't give them all the credit because we went through a lot more.
Ours wasn't
but
documented.
They've had a taste of what that feels like.
Sure.
And because of that, they were able to say, whoa, hold up. That cannot happen again. Let's fix this right now. This is how we need to live. This is how we need to live in conjunction with them so that way this can never happen again.
Yeah.
We never did that.
Yeah. But I think, the interesting thing about the slavery Holocaust is that we've never had an opportunity to really properly talk about it. See, people, in my opinion, always want to say you just got to move on.
Yeah,
but you can't get through trauma just moving on and act like
it's no such
happen.
thing. But you got to understand, they never got a chance to talk about it either. To this day, they tell you that it never existed. There's no documents to prove that it actually really existed. Really. But they've realized that, okay, let's tell our story. Whether they believe it or not, let's tell our story. There's no document. Man, you watch right now on the History Channel, 5 out of 20 pieces of content is going to be about the Holocaust and the Germans and what happened over there. Because they put that story out there for people that don't believe to now believe. We still haven't did that.
And I don't think we knew how.
We know how. We just don't come together to do it.
Well, and I agree.
It's that simple.
No, you're right. But here's the flip side. And I know what you're saying.
Because think about it, right? The content that's created today, that's making billions of dollars.
Sure.
Guess who's making that content, bro?
Who?
We are. We're making that content.
Yeah. But
we're writing the scripts. We're acting in them.
But our image.
We're just not investing in them. We don't have,
Right. No, I agree with you.
Right.
I just think that one of the reasons I wanted to get in media is we don't have a proper understanding of who we are. Because our image.
Right.
We've always been, like, until Black Panther, we never really saw a hero that looked like us on that level. And I felt like just a superhero at that. And then, mind you, of course, we talk about Stan Lee. Stan Lee, who's behind Marvel Comics, is Jewish.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that was some things people don't really know the backstory on, but I just think that now, since we've gotten this new refreshed energy, we have to start capturing that. And we have to start telling our story. And
that's
we can't be afraid to talk about slavery.
That's what it's boiled. Honestly,
some people say, I'm tired of talking.
Honestly, believe it or not, bro, the slavery piece, the conversation,
it's a small,
it only brings us down. I don't think it uplifts anybody. Honestly, I think we need to stop talking about it, believe it or not, because it's the fact that we never let it go is why we can't move forward. You follow what I'm saying? Because now we blaming everything on the root of what that is. Because we have so much more potential. Believe it or not, everything that we've accomplished is because we forgot about that. The people that still thinking about that is the ones that still they still stuck in that time. So I think the cure for us is to just forget and forgive the past. Because we're forgiving people by nature anyway.
Naturally.
We're going to talk about it. Yeah, it's going to still obviously bother us.
Right.
But let's not make it an issue to a point where it affects our growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when it comes back to the storytelling again, this is what we do for the major corporations now. Universal ain't built to be a $35 billion company without urban music and urban content. Over 50% of that market share is built from content we provided to them. So nobody can't tell me that we don't know how to do it. We've been doing it. We just never did it for ourselves.
And I think, people like yourself are certainly leading by example and showing everybody what can be done. So, when you talk about that, I want to jump around a little bit. Obviously, you just got the grant for your city, Akon City in Senegal. Congratulations on that.
No, I appreciate that.
Because that's it says a lot to everybody on a global scale of what can be done when you know how to channel it. What's that process like, man? What, 2,000 acres?
Man,
plus?
that process.
Or is it more than that?
That process is till this day. It don't stop, and it's gonna go on forever. Like, because it's always gonna be expansion. We're always gonna want to do and add more things. So it's gonna be an ongoing fight forever. And that's in any city. You're gonna always want to update it. You're gonna always want to add. You're gonna want to take out. You're gonna want to create new sanctions or laws or whatever. Because I want it to be a free zone where it's completely tax free. I want it to also be completely renewable. So there's nothing in there that reminds me of any of the old ways of how energy consumption is being used, anything that's going to create any kind of cancer cells or whatever. I don't want none of that in the city. I want it to be the purest, most natural, African resource-based city in the world. You know what I mean? Because when you look at all the other cities around the world, they're all based off minerals and resources dug from the ground in Africa. So you mean to tell me I can't use my own resources to build my own city in Africa? So that was the goal, and that is the goal. So the only thing that we'll probably outsource outside is technicians, because in education, you have to get that from everywhere. Because everywhere that's advanced, I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. I want to be able to take what we already know as people, as humans, and allocate that into the city. And all the newest technology that's coming, I want the latest, the greatest, and the best. I want to leapfrog into the future with it, because we have the capabilities to do it, because we're starting from a straight, clean slate now.
Mm-hmm. When you talk about building infrastructure, I know something that I've heard you say, you don't believe in charity.
Right.
Or welfare. Can you expand on that, or what your thoughts are on that?
Well, I mean, charity and welfare are two different things. Welfare, I don't have a problem with welfare, because those are people that literally need it. And some people just aren't capable of doing for themselves. Mm-hmm. That's just bottom line. Charity is another thing, because charity, you're just giving. You don't know who you're giving to. Most people don't even know why they're giving. They just doing it because it's a tax break. Mm-hmm. And it never worked out. You know what I mean? Especially for Africa. Charity has been the biggest enemy of us, because it's gotten mentally to the point where the mindset was set that, okay, someone's going to come and help us. Someone from Europe or, the Western Hemisphere is going to come and change everything for us. So we just do what? We sit and wait. And we wait. And we wait. Until somebody was like, yo,
they ain't coming.
They're never coming.
You said yourself.
And matter of fact, actually they are here, but they're not here to help. Mm-hmm. They definitely here though, right? But they're not here to help. They're here to help themselves. Mm-hmm. So I don't have the problem of them helping themselves. They're doing what they're supposed to do for their region or where they come from. They're developing their country. So Africans, we travel everywhere in the world, but we never bring nothing back. I don't understand, right? So, and if you go anywhere in the world, if you see a black person, he's from Africa somewhere. It's only in America that you see black people that's from America and claim America, as if Africa doesn't exist.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's history, and that's what I don't want to fall back on, because the brain is a powerful thing. Because what you're born to believe when you're a child is normally what you're born to believe when you grow up. It's hard to change a mindset of someone that's been thinking a certain way or been taught a certain way all their life, and you just come one day and say that's not the way to go, or that's not true. They're not gonna believe you. If you're born a Christian, and I come to you and say, well, you've been taught wrong, you have to be a Muslim, or you're born a Muslim, they come and say, well, no, you shouldn't be no Muslim, you should be a Christian. Dude, you know how hard it is to convert somebody in religion? Now imagine converting somebody's life or mindset. That's harder, because religion is just a belief of what you're taught to believe is true, right? But at the end of the day, when you look at, if you're a person that has an open mind that thinks like from an open mind perspective, you will also realize that if someone gives you information, just absorb it. Don't necessarily mean you have to take the advice and do it. It's just do it so you have the information. Because once you have all the information, then you can decipher what's right, what's wrong, what's necessary, and what's not. Because as I grab all this information, I start to realize when people tap into religion, which is such always the most, sensitive thing to talk about, you realize, man, we all really believe in the same God. We all believe in all the same 10 commandments that we all follow. Every religion follows the same commandments. And everybody has that higher being that they praise to. They just call them something different. And I realize that life is all about translation. Where you're from, how you was raised, what culture you was brought up in, and your way of life all determines how you worship. But you all worship into the same God. You just translate it differently and worship differently. But nothing's really different.
What do you say to people? A lot of people say, in Black America may not have had the opportunity to travel as extensively. And I mean, you've been all around the world. What has been some of the things that really that impressed you in going to countries where you may not have thought you were going to be received the way you were actually received?
I would encourage everybody to travel, because traveling opens up your mind and allows you to think totally different from the way you're taught to think. And once you start to travel, you start to realize that a lot of things in life just starts to make sense to you, because now you're seeing people not only that look like you, but people that live different. And some live the same, but for the most part, most people have different states of minds and different directions of how they equate things to life and how they compare things to reality, right? So you start to understand the human race rather than a typical race. And once you start to understand the human race, everything makes sense to you. And a lot of things that you actually was taught to believe becomes and sounds so ignorant. You know what I mean? Because I'm realizing what I've learned in life is that the more I started to travel and I started to get received a certain way by people that, or certain parts of the world that I never thought I would actually be, I started to realize just how connected we are.
Sure.
And it was a crazy shock. Like when going to Germany, for instance, where, I mean, there's not that many black people at all. Mm-hmm. And they rarely speak English, for that matter. But they can recite every song from top to bottom. Because Mr. Lonely was so big in Germany, and for so long, it's like everywhere I went, people recognized who I was. And they treated me like a brother. Yeah. Like it was I was shocked. And then same thing when I went to Israel. It was like, wow, they know me here? You know what I mean? So those kind of things, it just changes your way of how you just like perceive life in general, man. Everything that you approach differently, man.
Yeah. I know that it's important to bridge the culture on a global level, you know, and when you talk about it like that, it's obvious that music is the universal language.
1,000%. It opens the doors for, man, doors you would never, ever be able to open on your own. You know, that's why I always use music as a vehicle, either to get to the money or to get to reality or to get to just a piece of peace. Because no matter how conflicted a place is, right? When we come there for a concert, everything changes. The whole environment changes for that day or that weekend or that week, depending on how the energy flows or how long a festival or a concert becomes. Because people forget about all their differences or what they plan to do to their enemy just to take a break, come to the concert, and just be at peace for that moment. So music is so powerful, man, and what it does and how it just translates and controls our, emotions. That's when you realize, man, music is definitely an international language. So just for the idea of music becoming an international instrument for an international hub like Atlanta is the key to all of this. So when we talk about, the international market and I commend V103 for even being on an international thought process, because they're literally going to be the first to do it. Mm-hmm. If it's followed all the way through. Yeah. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So this right here, Osei, and man, and I know you've been fighting for this forever, but to see it all come together, it's gonna be huge.
It's a blessing.
It's gonna be huge.
When you're kind of halfway around the world, or places like India, what do you think when you think about Atlanta as it relates to the international piece? Because we know that the airport is the busiest in the world. Right. We know all these things, but when you're just here, right. And I tell people, when you're in Atlanta, you're spoiled.
No, you're right.
Because you don't think, you just think everything is like, it ain't like that everywhere.
Nah, it's nowhere near like that everywhere. Right. The point is like, Atlanta, and it's funny, no matter where it's only two places that make me feel like I'm literally home, and that's Senegal and Atlanta. Like when I say home. Yeah. Now there's places I like, and I like to be there, but when I'm talking about feels like actual home, it's Atlanta and Senegal, period. And I think it's because, see, when you live in Atlanta, you don't really notice it because you're surrounded by it. It's all like, right, it's like when you're surrounded by weed smoke, you don't realize you smell like weed. Right. Until you walk to a place where nobody smokes weed. Right. And you don't, but even you yourself don't smell yourself. Right. Everybody smell you but yourself, right? Yeah. So that's how Atlanta is when it comes to the culture and when it comes to this international, just vibe. People from Atlanta, no matter where they go, you just know they're not from there. You're like, where you from? And they say Atlanta, you be like, oh, I heard about Atlanta. How is Atlanta? Right. It's like, it's that thing that everybody wants to know more about because that vibe like travels everywhere. And it's become now a hub, not only for entertainment, but also now becoming for film. And it's always been a great hub for, for brown people. And it gives them a sense of power of what the capabilities and potential of what Black people can do when they come together. They actually are very effective because Atlanta's proven that. It's really it's like you said, one of the biggest and the biggest international hub in all of the United States, by the way. But it's a city that's ran by African Americans.
So we've never seen this type of power. I don't think.
No.
On this level.
Detroit is the only place that has that kind of influence. Yeah. But they're not as effective as Atlanta has been when it comes to success and unity, because they're willing to bypass certain differences to make the city move forward.
Yeah, it's more of a collaborative city, and that's why I think that whole Wakanda mindset is you have the best of the best from all over the world.
1,000%.
And I mean, Africans have started to feel just more and more at home here. So when I just watching the influence and the growth,
right?
You know, one of your songs that for me inspired me like in a major way was "Mama Africa."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, when I heard that song, I was like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. And I feel like, you know, DC kind of gave me the tools because I think that obviously there's certain first stops when you come to America, whether it's New York and maybe Washington, D.C., things like that. Right. Of course, all the embassies are there. But in coming to Atlanta, I saw the opportunity to really shape something and create and grow something, you know, and take it further. And I think that now Atlanta's really tapping into that across the board. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let me ask you this, as it relates to your entrepreneurship, because clearly you're doing some things that are mind-blowing and a lot of people couldn't even really fathom, you know. So obviously, you know, with the city, what other entrepreneurial things do you have in the works and what are you looking to create? What was the thought process behind, you know, creating this city? I mean, where does it go from there?
Well, I think the city is really going to be the beginning of something that becomes a movement that's bigger than me. When I look at entrepreneurship, I look at where is the need? Because wherever there's a need, you have an audience and you have a customer. So when I decided to get into music, I felt at the time when I got into music, obviously music was still saturated, but there was a need for conscious reality records because no one spoke about basic everyday things that you personally went through that everyone can relate to. Yeah, we might talk about something that you went through personally, and you may have one or two people relate to it, but there's international topics that everybody goes through. And if you ain't go through it, you know people that did go through it. And that was more of what I wanted to be able to capture musically. You know what I mean? That's why we had titles like Locked Up and Lonely and Ghetto and these kind of things, because these are topics, one word topics that everybody in the world can relate to no matter what environment you came from. You know what I mean? So it was a reality aspect of it. And then I treated that the same way I treated my entrepreneurial step up. If I go into entrepreneurship and I'm going in there to be a businessman and to make money, I have to create a demand for a need that already exists, not something I have to create that I have to convince people to jump on. So when it came to energy, I figured with a population of a continent with over 1.3 billion people that don't have energy, there's a need not greater than that. Yeah. I don't have to know anything about it. I just need to get into the business and I'm gonna be successful. And that's how I approached it. But then I realized how much, not only was the business becoming successful, but how much I was learning about energy. And then through that, it metamorphs into me learning about other things that energy was attached to, like infrastructure, education, agriculture, you know, humans and how it affected them and people. And that turned my life around because it wasn't about the money anymore. It wasn't about making money no more. It was now about, man, I have to develop my country. I didn't realize just how much of a need it needed, how much Africa itself created, you know, its own demand for what it needed for the people to survive on a day-to-day basis. So that's when I said, okay, this is no longer about entrepreneurship. It's about saving Africa. And if I can be the spark that, you know, that lights the forest fire, then I want to be that spark. But in the process of all of that, obviously when you're doing great things for a huge amount of people, God's going to reward you anyway. So you can't go in it for the reward of it. You got to go in it for the true idea of wanting to just see people live comfortable.
What was that feeling like?
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because the attention that is generated is amazing.
Right.
And I mean, you know, just in getting a deal like that done and really saying, hey, when you lit up your first area, what was that feeling for you?
That was the most amazing feeling in the world. That made me say, man, I want to lit up the continent now. You know, that's what drove me, because these are people that never seen daylight in the night ever. So for them to see like light in the night, that was like, they have never seen that before. So you can imagine how it affected them. You know what I mean? And that created a whole nother idea for me, because when you think about all the things this simple light does for a community like that, right? At night, where now is actually light, where you can see, it deletes all the crime. Because now the robbers and all the scammers at night that do work at night, rapists, whatever, burglars, they can't just do it no more. So it takes the crime rate completely down, right? You got kids that try to, they have to beat the sun just to study. You know what I mean? Because after a certain time, it gets dark. They can't even study their basic textbook. They have to run home and try to get there in time to have enough hours in the daytime, just so they can beat the night to be able to study. That now allows them to be able to study way over and be able to get a higher education. Then you can look at the basic vendors that's on the street, right? These guys have to hurry up and pack up, get all their stuff out of there before nighttime, because they can't sell past nighttime because it gets dark. Nobody can barely see it. Not only that, but they put themselves in jeopardy for getting robbed for all their merchandise. But now when you have street lights that goes all across the street and everybody can see what's going on, they can actually stay later, make a lot more money to feed their families on a day-to-day basis. And that's just 3 elements that I've mentioned just from what basic light can do to change somebody's life. You know what I mean? So when you start seeing the impact of the things that you're actually doing, then it becomes a different reward altogether.
And speaking of that, I know tourism is on the rise. Right. For Africa as a continent, something that we've never really had an opportunity to properly kind of expose and share, with the world. And I felt like that was one of the big things that I observed with the year return, which, in turn obviously talks about the history and everything, but there's so much more to Africa and so much more to who we are as a people. What do you think, if you were talking to someone who'd never been to Africa and just some of the beautiful things that are there and exist, what would you tell them about that opportunity with tourism? Because I know, like, some of those beaches.
Right. The beach. Look at the most beautiful beaches in the world.
So
what? And you're right. They don't know it. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to build the city, because I want people to come and be in a place that they see things that they're naturally accustomed to seeing, away from what you've been taught to believe how Africa is or what to expect when you get to Africa. When you come to that city, you're not going to expect anything that you coming to see, right? And the whole idea is for them to go outside the city, see how the locals live, see the opportunities of agriculture, how beautiful the land is, go out there to these beaches that's just, amazing, mind-blowing, bro. Like, I don't care where, you can go to Ibiza, you can go to the Mykonos, you can go to, I don't care where you go, Maldives, you're not going to find beautiful beaches more beautiful than Africa. Waterfalls, just amazing. So just imagine with access to land like that, with the knowledge that we have to build certain things that surround and actually, magnify that beauty. The opportunity there on the investment side is just endless, man.
That's crazy. So you essentially, you would encourage Black America to seriously
invest all their money in Africa. Every last penny. Now is the time to do it, bro. Don't wait. Because I'm telling you, by the time you wait, it's going to be like New York and Rockefeller. You're going to get there, it was too late. They didn't occupied all the land. Now they're giving you these high-ass rents that you can't afford for a little box.
Right.
When you could have had access to all that land for pennies of the dollar, now you're the one giving them the rent. Yeah. And you decide how much that rent and square footage is.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite destinations on the continent? Obviously Senegal.
It's too many. Yeah, because Senegal's home, obviously.
Right.
But it's just too many. It's like, man, I love Ethiopia. Beautiful. Addis. Eritrea is beautiful too.
Yeah.
I love, man, it's just too, like, oh my goodness. Ghana, obviously. There's certain parts of Nigeria that even Nigerians don't know exist. That's man, beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? One places I am proud to always promote is Rwanda. Because Rwanda is one of them places that came out of such a huge, war. Like, they came out of a civil war that's just unheard of. Sure. And the whole country was divided. Literally chopping each other up with machetes in the past. And the way that country came together and how peaceful it is, how clean it is, and how beautiful that place looks today.
Sure. It's funny though. It's like, and that's what I'm thinking of. A lot of times, we don't understand, but we can learn some real lessons.
Right.
The whole Rwandan genocide would be essentially like if light skin and dark skin in America went at each other.
Just imagine that. Just imagine that. Like, that's how crazy it was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But and then you got back.
And then you got a place like Cape Verde, right? Cape Verde is like it's like our Caribbean islands.
Right.
It was like mad, like multiple islands in that area. That's just, it's so many places, man. I don't even know where to start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Con, you got your Africa and Me. I love the sweatshirt. I need one of those, man.
Oh, no, I'll make sure I get that for you. Yeah, so Africa and me is it's not just it's a statement really, and I think we all have it. Yeah. We can't even deny it. Like you go in the hood, you go these so African,
they don't even know it though.
They have no idea until they go back. Like man, it's so crazy. And then it was funny because we also have platforms like Oh Africa, who also are pioneers and representing what Africa needs to feel like for our generation. They also doing great things and clothing lines, and I support all the stuff they're doing as well. You know, so it's like everybody has to play their role. But when you talk about what Africa is in you, it's more about the action. Because we all can talk about whatever it is. Because think about it, for years I've walked through, St. Louis, Chicago, the hood, Atlanta, like everywhere. And no matter where you go, you're going to see African shops. You might see some people wear African gown. The girls may wear the African head wrap a couple times. You know, they don't feel like getting their hair done. They put some African braids. Yeah. So this stuff they just do naturally. Don't even think about it. And because it's that innerness of them that wants to know more about it, that wants to be more attached to it, but never knew how. Yeah. And too afraid to buy a plane ticket and just go because they don't know what to expect because of what was been taught to them.
It's funny you say that because I was at the barbershop and I ran into C-Rod with Grand Hustle and the way he was talking about Africa.
Right.
It blew me away. And so with that said, what do you think about connecting the streets in America, Black America, to Africa? What is that opportunity look like?
I think the streets, from what we know the streets to be, and I'm going to get really characteristic, and I'm going to get a little overly, let me get very stereotypical. These don't know no streets until they go to Africa and realize what struggle really is.
When you don't have electricity.
These niggas is spoiled, bro. Yeah. Spoiled.
Yeah. In America.
The shit they fighting for.
Right. It's nothing. Yeah.
Compared to what man, listen.
The struggle is the struggle, but you don't realize.
You don't know what struggle is until you struggled in Africa. I'm telling you, bro. Yeah. They don't know. They don't realize how good they have it in America. These in the projects are living in condominiums. Yeah. Like they living great. Because the thing is, when you're giving something, you don't appreciate what you're giving until you don't have nothing.
Build it from the ground.
Man, I would take the hardest killer in America and run him through the hood. I guarantee you he'll be walking out with stains in his pants. I've seen it. Yeah. You know how many killers I used to run with back in the day that I took to Africa was like, yo, bro, damn. Yeah. This is a struggle. This is what it really means, bro. Yeah. Half the things that y'all doing and calling it struggle, half the things y'all doing to get away from struggle, you putting yourself in jeopardy because you don't realize how great you actually really have it. You're just really wasting your life. You're fighting for something that you don't even need to fight for. You have all the rights that every other citizen have. All you gotta do is put your positive energy into something that's gonna move you forward. That's it. But everybody's here it's all ego. They're all bragging about something that don't even matter, bro. Yeah. And that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, it's all ego.
It's all ego.
And I think, the thing, as Africans coming from a colonized mindset sometimes, we all have a lot of work to do when it comes to kind of like taking the veil off and just saying, you know what, let's really connect with each other.
Let's connect with each other, man.
I feel like, the music is doing that, and I want to just talk about that because, you were, right there as we were making this shit.
Right.
And I think, like just seeing what it was with WizKid before everything took off. It started, like you said, with that conversation. And I was
it was a fight.
Right.
From that conversation, we knew, like, bro, it's gonna be tough.
An uphill battle.
And guess what? The uphill battle was that in the beginning, it started very innocent because as we're pushing it, LC, and I know you remember, everybody just thought it was reggae.
Yeah. Well, it's like communicating.
Because that's the one thing you can relate to.
Absolutely.
If it sounds like
similar,
it. Because guess what? It really is.
But hip hop came from reggae dance.
But you follow what I'm saying? Yeah. So, reggaeton.
Yeah, reggaeton.
Reggae is in the name. It started with the dembo beat. Boom, boom. Every Latin record got the dembo beat in it.
Everybody.
You know what I mean? So it all stems from that one source that just eventually grows to be something bigger than you. Mm-hmm. And it just becomes a movement that everybody attaches themselves to. And we have to embrace the people attaching it and educate them to what they're attaching themselves to.
Sure.
And I think that was the mistake that our forefathers missed in hip hop. Hip hop had founders that without them, hip hop would never be this big. And you know them.
Cool.
I can't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
But I think the piece that they miss is that they never embraced the movement and realized that this movement was bigger than them, and that we're going to attach, and we need to be there as people are attached to not only allow them to successfully attach into the market, but also educate them on the history of how it all developed. But what I've witnessed, and I could be wrong, and founders, I apologize if I'm mistranslating, but I'm just telling you how I feel. Instead of being bitter to how hip hop is evolving, they should be proud that they created a platform that got millions of out the hood. Number one, they should be proud of a genre that feeds millions of people. Not even just black. It's beyond black now. This is something, man. They created something that changed. It's more influential than the iPhone. They've literally changed lives and impacted lives in a way that it would never be impacted again. No matter what they've done in their life, that people may seem to be sinful or evil, I guarantee you, because of the creation of what they did for hip hop, God is going to reward them into a key to heaven because of how many lives that hip hop impacted. Yeah. I personally believe that.
I just feel like sometimes hip hop it treats its elders in a
it's not hip hop, it's the generations.
So how do we correct that?
It's parenting. It's parenting. I'll say, you know better than I do. As we were growing up in Africa, our parents taught us to respect our elders. That was rule number one.
Always.
No matter what. Whether they wrong or not. Respect it. Even if they make a wrong decision or a decision you feel is wrong, the respect level still comes first. Mm-hmm. And ride with it. Because they may know things you don't know. Mm-hmm. It's almost like a saying my pops told me. An elder can sit in a place. You can open your eyes and see nothing. An elder can close his eyes and see everything. Because he's been there before. He's seen it happen already. And he can predict it happening because of the experiences that he wrote through his whole life. So when an elder is speaking to you, you listen. Whether you agree or not, just listen. Because I guarantee you, what he's telling you, you may not see today, but you're going to see tomorrow when you become his age. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You follow? But we just become like we're too smart to understand and listen.
And I think, a lot of that, comes with, a lot of young cats, they're getting money. So they think that equates to, I'm getting money.
What's money?
Yeah.
Money ain't nothing but a trading mechanism. Money don't mean shit. That doesn't mean nothing, bro. I don't even use the money in my bank account. Yeah. I rarely spend money at all, believe it or not. Yeah. I don't even spend it. I don't have no cash in my pocket. Yeah. When I go someplace, you know what's more important and way more powerful than money is your integrity, your reputation, and your word. Because with those three elements, you can walk into any door and be not only respected, but be served because of your character. If I walk into any restaurant in Africa, I don't have to spend $1. They just give me free food. Why is that? If I go into a place in America and they be like, oh, Mr. Akon, oh my God, we're so thank you for everything you're doing for us. No, please, it's on us. When you do great things for great people, you never have to worry about the things that everybody's worried about because people are going to support you in the way you support them. Mm-hmm. So your motivation can never be about money. Money can disappear tomorrow, then what? Mm-hmm. And it's disappearing now. Mm-hmm. In a minute, that cash you got stashed in your shoebox or under your box or in your vent or under the bed, you ain't even gonna be able to use it. Mm-hmm. All that gotta be converted to a digital card, which has all your information on that you're gonna have to apply for. Mm-hmm. And if you've been doing your whole life, you ain't gonna be able to live life comfortable no more. So you might as well just convert everything that you're doing negative right now into something positive so you can just live a comfortable life.
Speaking of that, one of the things that I thought was amazing was when seeing you in Legos.
Right.
And just the love.
Oh, man.
I mean, you literally, it was like you when you were standing on top of that car, and I was just like, wow. Right. But see, you provide so much inspiration to so many Africans that were like, even on that particular day, they were seeing you. What was that feeling like? Or what is that feeling like? Because it happens a lot to you.
Right. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, like every time it happens to me, it's like it's the first time because I always compare myself to where it was, where I used to be, of where it could have been. Like, when you come from a jail cell to that, you never forget that, bro. Like, this is one of the reasons why I even chose to call my company Convict, because I wanted to remind myself where I never wanted to be again. I never used to do a record without putting those jail bars in front, because I want to remind not only myself, but the people that a convict can accomplish this. You're not doomed forever because you're a convicted felon. You know, you're not. You're only doomed because you say you're doomed. You follow what I'm saying? Like, you can't sit there and tell me that this is not achievable. When I don't have no master's degree, I don't have the clean Fortune 500 resume that everybody has. I don't have the clean record of no convictions and felonies or misdemeanors or whatever the case may be. I'm against the odds of everything that they say a license or a legitimate citizen in America should be to achieve something. I came from the totally opposite direction and showed that when your life is changed and your mind is set to do only positive things, and that's your only focus, because anything negative is your enemy. Your enemy at this stage of life is negativity, bro. Anything negative, I don't care if it's somebody talking and all they say is negative things, erase them from your life. You don't want to hear nothing but good news. And if there's an issue, okay, how do we resolve that? Come to me with a solution, or talk to me on how together we can provide that solution. But don't just come to me with negative thoughts and negative situations, and everything is about fixing something, or what ain't going on, what this person ain't doing, why this person's fucked up, or why everything around you is not going right. It's because you're keeping all that negativity around you. That space in your brain could be used for something positive on how to advance, rather than all the problems that you're facing in life. You're only there because you choose to be.
It's true.
Right.
Where have you seen God's presence? Like,
man, everywhere.
Felt it?
Man, listen, I don't move forward unless I feel God's presence. Some things I just feel like it's a dark situation. I'm cool. You can shake somebody's hand and you just feel the energy. Like, damn, I can't even be attached to this guy.
Because you've seen people all around the world.
Everywhere.
And you run with cats that, a lot of people would run in fear from.
100%. And you know them.
Right.
With me, it's a different presence.
Yeah.
Because I see something different in them. And my energy towards them is positive because I only bring out the positive in them. I know what they are. I know what they used to do too. But people forget that your past ain't your future. Just because you was that guy then, don't mean you that guy today. And when you're surrounded by people that inspires you in that way, that same energy that you took to conquer that evil, you can now have that same energy to conquer anything positive. And believe me, those are the ones that make the biggest impacts, and the people that went through something.
And just speaking of what you said about how you're treated when you go places globally, just seeing some of the things that, or seeing some of the things that people want to extend to you.
Right.
Like even being at Legos and seeing where y'all was staying.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know you've seen, both extremes. When you go into those situations or, you're in the home of princes and kings and things
right.
of that nature, what are those experiences like for you on a personal level when you consider, where you've been and where you come from?
Man, it's so funny because I see everything so twisted now. It's funny because I was just in Abu Dhabi and I was staying at the hotel that overlooks the King's Palace. This place is so big and so lavish. It's a city in its own. There's quarters in there he probably never seen, ever, or even stepped foot in. That's how big this place is. I mean, thousands of rooms. It's huge and lavish. It's gotta be at least $1 billion. Why? Because I'm thinking about all the people that I've seen that's starving, or that's going through something, or that's in uncomfortable, unnecessary positions, and the way that we utilize funds that we have access to and how we spend it for our own self-gratification, right? And clearly they have money that they have abundance. It's so much money that even computers can't calculate how much money they make on a day-to-day basis. And that's just one example. Then you calculate all the other examples from the UK empire to trillions of dollars that we pay in tax taxpayers' money in the U.S. that none of it goes to anything philanthropic. You know what I'm saying? So, and then they got all these programs that say eradicate hunger, eradicate poverty, when there's more than enough to go around for everybody in the world to live comfortable. And not one person take the initiative to do it. Not one. Like not one person, one country, one establishment, one banking facility. It's only 7 billion people. Only. And the reason why I say only is because the globe is so big. 7 billion people is literally like 7 people in the United States. Yeah. We have more than enough resources, money, even food to go around for everybody to live comfortable in the world. And why we just can't come as humans to just make it happen?
Why do we have a lack mentality like that?
I don't know. It's so weird. It's like, I just don't understand how we choose to make life difficult for ourselves. It's weird. It's so crazy. I know we have a survival mechanism in our brain that allows us to always want to make sure that we're good, like yourself. But I don't understand how, because of that, we don't have that mechanism that also want people around you to be comfortable. Like I can't be around nobody around me that's not comfortable. Even nobody around me can not be comfortable. It makes me uncomfortable having somebody around me f***ed up. This is why all my money goes to just giving it away. Because I know at the end of the day, God chooses people that he's going to provide fortune and fame to because he's allowing you to pass that blessing on to other people that don't have it. That's why I always realize and I calculate people's fortunes. If there's someone that's like wealthy, they're actually doing something right by that money or doing something that allows other people to live a certain kind of way. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't think, and if you are rewarded with a blessing like that of multi-fortunes and you don't do anything with it, those are the people that just eventually lose it or it's taking it away from them. Because he's going to pass the fortune through the people that's going to allow it to pass through others. I always felt like we're just a conduit. People that's filthy rich, they're just conduits. That's God saying, okay, I'm going to give it to you because you're responsible enough to, or have a heart good enough to give back. Those are the successful people. Those are the wealthy people. Because if you can live with as money as if it's not of a value to you, that's true wealth, honestly, to me. Like, I don't understand the process of why money is so important to people. It's just weird to me.
When you're sitting and you're dealing with these wealthy people, because you might be on a boat,
right?
You might be at dinner,
right?
What are they saying to you? What is their? Because they want you there,
right?
What are they
because
saying
they actually want to give back. Most of them don't even know why they're wealthy. They're like, man, I have all this money, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, bro, you're supposed to give it away. It's simple. You walk past people every day that's starving, that's struggling, that's going through medical issues, that can't survive, that can't pay a basic bill to live the next day. That's where your money's supposed to go. You should never ask your question, what do I do with it? If you don't know what to do with it, do good with it. It's that simple. And that, a lot of times, ignite them to want to create a foundation or donate to the nearest foundation or do anything. But I'm like, just do something that you know is going to be an impact. Don't just do it for the sake of it. Find something that you have the passion for, because most likely whatever your passion is, that's where that money was allocated for. It's actually allocated for that passion. And you'd be surprised how much your passion impacts people.
As we kind of wind it down, I want you to just talk about what are your thoughts on philanthropy, on giving back? I
think it's good. I think anything you do that gives, or I think you can never go wrong with doing great. Doing good for people, there's always a reward in doing good. There's never a situation where you have to tell yourself, nah, man, I can't give it to that person because he only gonna do this with it. It's not really your responsibility to judge what person's gonna do with that money. If somebody's on a corner of a sidewalk or a highway for that matter, and he has a sign that says he need help or he'll work for food, or he might just say, man, look, I'm being honest, I just want to drink. Your gesture of just giving to him, that's your reward already. What he does with that money is between him and God. He may just have that sign up for humor because people like that kind of stuff. He might not even be an alcoholic. That money could have been for food for him. But humans, we weren't put on this earth to judge anybody. It says it in the Bible, Quran, Torah, every holy book there is. You don't judge. God is the only one that judges. So just do it. Because you know that there's a responsibility that you hold for that. And then what he does, man, let him and the creator deal with that. That has nothing to do with you. He's going to make his decision on what he does with it. And then from there, he has to answer to God.
Lastly, the travel ban. I know
Right.
they've extended it to
Stupid.
some African countries.
Super stupid. The most ignorant thing in life. First of all, there's no lines in life. There's definitely no lines on the globe. When he built this earth, it was for us to roam freely within it. The fact that they even create immigration, borders. I mean, obviously, clearly it's a big business for it, right? And it goes right back to going against what our, natural habitat goes against naturally, because we're social people. Like, we're a social species. We can't be confined within a box or where we can't move and spread out. This is why the worst punishment that you can ever give to a man is solitary confinement. Is put him in a room with nobody in it and close it out for a couple years. He will go crazy. Immigration it's doing the same thing. You just got a bigger space to roam in. And it's only a matter of time before the people in that space explode. So it's a ticking time bomb. I think honestly it's the dumbest thing ever that you can do for any group. Like, we should be able to, and believe it or not, we actually limiting ourselves, because half the people that you locking up could be a major impact to what our future could be. You don't know. Everybody has a purpose. So you're locking up the purpose for our future when you do that, because you don't know what purpose a person's purpose is that you got confined in a specific facility or a specific country that he can't even get out of.
Well, I know we're going to be having a lot of ongoing conversations.
Oh no, this is all day, every day.
This is just
right.
We're just beginning, and this partnership as far as how we support you and vice versa. I think
I appreciate
it's organic and natural, and I'm looking forward to it. Love you. Appreciate everything that you've been doing.
Thank you, brother.
The inspiration is
absolutely.
It's been real for me and so many countless others, and I just say, man, kudos. Keep it doing
man, vice versa, bro.
We're gonna keep doing it, making it happen. That's what it is, man. We're gonna have a soul session too coming with Akon, and we'll touch on some other things with that. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in and checking us out on V103 International.
Yeah.